بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have so far discussed some important introductory points about Islamic theory of law and rights. And the last thing we talked was about the occurrences of haqq in the Qur'an and Hadith, and then we talked about the relation between haqq and adl and qist, justice and social justice. We talked about it. Now, today we want to start with origins of rights in Islamic theory and what is the legal aims of society in Islamic view. خواستگاه حق, origins of right, و هدف حقوقی جامعه از دیدگاه اسلام. خب, as I said in the last session, we said haqq is i'tibari, but has reality as its basis. And we said that there are different meanings for i'tibari. Here we mean that you cannot find something outside that you can point at and say this is haqq, this is right. It's not mafhum mahuvi, it's not a mahiyya or a quiddity that you can say okay, this is right. But it is abstracted, it's intizai. It's abstracted from the relation between action and the aim, the goal for doing that action. In order to explain this, Ayat Misbah says human beings as individuals and as societies should be able to pursue their aims. So if there is a legitimate aim, they should be given permission and power to make use of what Allah has made available for human beings. You cannot say you have to make efforts in order to reach the aims, but without using resources or opportunities which are available. So the main principle is that human beings should be able to benefit from their bodily power, spiritual power, faculties of the soul, talents, in order to reach those aims and ideals. But the thing is that since there might be no enough amount of these things for everyone, or for example when it comes to the better ones, there is competition, so the legal system and our system of rights, they should explain who can benefit from this particular given issue and who cannot, because there would be big conflict among human beings if we don't have a system which would clarify that who has right to use this, who has priority to use this. So we need to observe the welfare of each individual, but also we need to observe social interests of human beings. Islam, in addition to considering well-being of this world for individuals and societies, also considers the eternal well-being, the eternal happiness or felicity. And indeed, dunya, despite its importance, is mazra'atul akhirah. You cannot fully understand and appreciate dunya if you don't look at it as also a farm for the hereafter. If you just think dunya is everything, actually you are reducing the value of dunya. We say yes, dunya is certainly important, material is certainly important, but even more important than what materialists think, because it's the only opportunity we have for securing our eternal happiness. The beauty of religious, especially now we are talking about Islamic system of laws, is that it's very much connected to its ethics, to its morals, to its virtues. So if you sincerely implement Islamic codes of laws and observe the rights, this by itself brings moral flourishment. Islamic theory of law is part of the all-embracing system of akhlaq. There is no separation, there is no conflict. Indeed, this is part of our ethical system. And it's based on realities. Part of it is related to our origin, to our mabda, to our creator. Part of it is related to ma'ad, resurrection. Part of it related to divine wisdom, which tells us what's the best course of actions in order to gain the maximum from this life for the hereafter and for reaching our aims. Then he says there are two types of laws or rights. Maybe it's better to say here rights. Two types of, we can say rights, although laws also explain rights. Some are understandable by use of aql, intellect, alone. Even if you don't have any ayah, any hadith, human intellect can understand. This is called mustaqillat aqliya. In ilm usul al-fiqh, we talked about these things as purely intellectual premises. For example, human beings have rights for food, for drinking, for clothes, for shelter, or about marriage and forming family. This is a right that every human being has. Or helping each other and employing others. Sometimes we help each other, sometimes we employ people, sometimes we get employed. These are our rights that we have in order to be able to pursue our goals and aims. But there are also rights that we cannot understand purely by aql. They are not mustaqillat aqliyah. We need to learn them from revelation. So there are some kinds of actions and their results, or you can say actions and their role in pursuing our aims, that we need to learn from revelation. Marriage we understand by ourselves. We should be able to eat, to drink, to have shelter. We understand. But there are things that we learn from revelation. Now, the next discussion is how we can define origins of huquq or rights from Islamic perspective, and in order to understand that, by the way of comparison, we briefly refer to non-theistic, not divine schools of thought. Some people have said that human social life is just a response to natural internal needs of human beings. Needs make human beings move towards formation of societies. It's just needs. Some people say it's emergency, it's desperate situation, it's more than needs. Sometimes you have needs, but you can take care of your needs by yourself. Some people say it's iztirar wa nachari. They are desperate. This is inevitable to have social life. Some people say it's free choice. Human beings have rationally looked at their situation as individuals and as potential societies, and they said it's better if we live in society. They chose that. Ayat Misbah says, we believe that it's possible for human beings to live on their own. Individual life is possible, but it's very difficult. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult. If you live alone, mentally, psychologically, even physically, to prepare everything for yourself, it's possible, but it's very difficult. Therefore, we believe that because it is possible but very difficult, we believe that human beings have chosen naturally. It was not very complicated thing to understand. It's not something that you have to be a great philosopher to understand. Human beings simply looked at what they can do individually and what they can do in society. They decided to live together in society. In this way, they felt they can better look after themselves and move forward towards their aims. Then he says, every individual now in the society should be able to benefit from the fruits of this social life, but we need some criteria, some measures to say how much. It's not that one person can use everything available. One factor can be how much they have contributed, how much they worked. Those who work harder, they are expected to receive more or have more rights. You cannot give equal to everyone, saying we have justice, we give equal to everyone. But if we just say those who have worked harder, they will get more. So what about people who are ill, people who are not capable of contributing? We should look after them as well. So according to Islamic view, we are not just seeing who is more effective, more beneficial, and then we say you have rights. We have to also observe those who may not have rights as such, but they have ethical rights, they have spiritual rights. We feel we are betraying them if we don't look after them. Then he says, in order to establish, to prove, or to argue for necessity of having a system of rights in every society, we mention two premises. One, there is intellectual or rational necessity for social life for human beings, even though there might be differences of opinions among social philosophers or philosophers of right or philosophers of law, but certainly we human beings need each other. Our needs have played a role. Our instincts, our needs, and our aql all worked together. Ayat Misbah says, به اعتقاد ما هم در پیدایش جامعه و هم در دوام و استمرار آن عامل طبیعی و غریزی و عامل عقلانی با هم تأثیر داشتند. In our belief, in our opinion, in the formation of society and in its continuity, natural factors, instincts, and rational factors all have contributed. We are not like bees and ants which cannot survive except in community. We can survive without community, but we wouldn't love to be separate because our life would be more difficult, more painful, and less fulfilling. So there is a human choice also. We choose to live together. Aim of human beings in social life is to secure more interest for greater number of people. تأمین هرچه بهتر مصالح برای هرچه بیشتر افراد. So to secure interest for more people and in a larger way. So more interest for more number of people. So quantity and quality both are considered, and this needs collaboration and working in society. The next thing, in addition to intellectual necessity for social life, is that we have differences and disagreements in social life. There is conflict, basically, tazahum, between what people want in the society. They have certain desires coming out of their instincts and sometimes fitrah, but it's not possible for everyone to satisfy and meet their desires and needs. So there is tazahum. Because of this conflict, which is going to be forever, no one should think that soon we reach a point that everyone would act very nicely, observing all the values, morality, etc. There would be no need for system of law and rights. No. The nature of human being is like, maybe inshallah after Imam Zaman establishes his governance, things would be different. But till then, we cannot depend or rely on goodwill of people only. You say, okay, people are good. We don't need any system of law. We don't need governance. We don't need judicial system. We don't need, parliament. Just because people are going to act properly. First of all, they may not know what is proper action. Secondly, it's not that every person is an angel or an ethical person. کوتاه سخن آنکه. So briefly, this is a summary of this part. چون همه مردم به یکسان انگیزه های حق طلبانه ندارند. Because it's not that all people have equal desires for truth and rights. And also it's not that they have equal adequate knowledge. Therefore there would be conflicts. Therefore, social laws and regulations are very important. If we just give them advice, if we just give them morality without a legal system, it's not going to work with respect to most of people. So there must be a code of laws and rules and regulations that govern every aspect of social life, and says, if you do this, these are the benefits. If you don't do this, then you will be questioned, maybe you will be receiving penalty, etc. Then Ayat Misbah says, in the last 3 centuries, there has been emphasis on having 3 parts of, you can say, governance. 3 types of powers. Tafkik quwa. In Farsi we say quwa, in Arabic also we say quwa or sulutat. Al-Quwwatu tanfidiyya or as-sultatu tanfidiyya for the executive part, which is government. We have judiciary, as-sultatu al-qada'iyya, and we have legislative, which is for establishing laws, making laws for parliament. So it's now about 300 years that many people have emphasized on having 3 separate branches of power. Legislative branch makes laws, but sometimes people don't observe laws. Yeah, so we need courts, judiciary system. But in order to make sure that people implement the verdict coming from the court, there is need for governance as well. And the idea has been that if we manage to divide power into 3 independent bodies, then we would avoid dictatorship or corruption, not perfectly, but to large extent. Ayatollah Misbah says this is not the only model. We can see the wisdom behind it, and we may suggest it for some circumstances, but it's not that Islamically we should always divide. For example, in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina, he had the authority of a judge or head of judiciary, authority of parliament for making laws, and authority of governance. He had all these authorities. And who better than Rasulullah could do this? If you have someone like Rasulullah, it's better not to have divided powers. It's better that everything is under one true servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But now things have changed. Government, judiciary system, parliament have expanded, and it's not as simple as used to be in Madinatul Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But still we say that at the same time that we appreciate the wisdom behind having 3 powers, we say that there might be circumstances that we have very good pious leader that can supervise all these 3 aspects. Although he cannot do everything himself, but he can supervise, he can make sure that there is harmony between these 3 powers and they don't go away from Islamic principles. So this is another issue that in principle we can accept this. And then after talking about separation of these 3 branches of power, he says it is hoped that in this way there would be supervision and also power would not be invested in one person or one party, so that if the ruling party or ruling group do something wrong, the judiciary has ability to stop them. Legislative body has power to adjust the laws so that they cannot be misused or manipulated. Then after this there is a discussion about حقوق اساسی, basic laws. The basic laws of every country are very, very important, and inshallah we'll talk about the basic laws briefly in the next session. There are people who have their just degrees in basic laws. In Iran we have this as independent discipline, and people specialize in, for example, constitutional law, what rights constitutions are giving to the citizens, or what powers give to the governance, to the judiciary system, etc. It's all part of the discussion about basic law. I want to go back to the question that I asked you to do some research on it. Alhamdulillah, some of you mentioned the theory of natural rights. I have a paper about natural rights and natural law and its role in ethics. It's in Farsi and it's in English. If you don't find it, I can inshallah find it for you. And also some other theories that modified this. But to give you an idea, this is an idea which is very much welcomed by some Christians, especially Catholics. Idea maybe goes back to time of Aristotle or even earlier. But then Christian theologians also found this a good vehicle. And they sometimes refer also to cases and quotations in the Bible. So basically the idea is this, and one of you said about iradiya, takwini and tashri'. I said I will explain inshallah. So basically the idea is this, the reason they call it natural is this, that in the creation God the Almighty has implemented moral or ethical norms, not only by reading scriptures, by referring to revelation you can understand moral norms, but by also looking at the creation you can find out moral norms. But maybe here it needs a little reflection and interpretation more than just reading the scriptures. For example, about marriage between husband and wife, there is possibility of marriage and forming family, having children. This is mentioned in the scriptures, but this is also what nature, what the creation also suggests to us. Men and women are created in the way that they need each other, they supplement each other, and they never, have kind of, for example, time that they say, okay, we don't need each other, generally speaking. Or, for example, who is better for looking after children, especially in the early years? Who is going to foster the child? Yes, we learn these things from, for example, the scriptures. Quran says, حمله وفصاله ثلاثون شهرا. Yeah, pregnancy and then after pregnancy fostering is for 30 months. But we don't need just to look at the scriptures. Scriptures are important, but also you see the way the body of a mother, functions. Father cannot do what mother can do in this regard, for example. Or, for example, about keeping beard, for example. Some say it's natural for a man, for example, to have beard. Or how many children they should have. Those who believe in natural law, they may say as much as the body is capable. They are not in favor of small families normally. Of course, some other people may bring other considerations, but initially the idea was not to have any family planning and see how much this is possible to have, 4 children, 6 children, 8 children, 10 children. So the idea was that between creation and legislation there is harmony, because both come from God. The laws of creation and the laws of religion are in complete harmony with each other. We can be inspired by laws of revelation or scriptures. We can be inspired by laws of creation and nature. Our idea is that for sure there is a harmony. It's impossible that this world is created by God and then a scripture comes from God and then there is no harmony. It's impossible. But how much we can understand from nature? In other words, what is natural? It's not easy, Yes, in some cases, as Ayat Misbah also said, there are things that we understand with aql, or you can say, with fitra. So by looking at nature, we can understand many things, like sacredness of life, etc. Or we shouldn't waste, etc. But it's not easy always to understand what is natural. For example, as an example you find in some books is this: is it right for human beings to fly or not? Someone may say, if we were supposed to fly, Allah would have given us wings like birds, then we would fly. He didn't give us wings, so it means that we should be satisfied with walking, running, or riding animals, or, for example, using water and sheep for transportation. حملناهم في البر والبحر, but not في السماء. So someone may say, Allah didn't give us wings, so that it's not right for us, it's not moral for us to fly. And someone may say, yes, He didn't give us wings, but He gave us aql to discover laws of nature and then be able to create instruments like planes, etc., that we can fly with and we can even carry our goods, etc. So you see, about what is natural or not natural, people may disagree. How many children they should have, people may disagree. Men can also let their hair grow. Is it natural for them to keep it short or to keep it long, or nature has nothing to do with this? So there are many issues that if you go into details, you find it's not as easy as this theory suggests. Yes, general things, yes. Or if we have first ability to discover laws based on the revelation and scriptures, and then refer to the nature again, yes, we can find patterns similar in the nature. But sometimes in nature we can find, conflicting things. For example, about types of family, we can find different patterns among plants and animals. Which one human beings should follow? So instead of emphasizing on nature as an origin for law, maybe we can say, yes, this is a very good idea, but it needs some modification. We can say our legal system must be in harmony with nature, with creation. We cannot avoid altogether the realities of this world, this nature. One of the beauties of Islamic law is that it considers our body, it considers our soul, it considers other human beings, it considers the environment. Everything is taken care of. But we put focus more on aql and revelation, not just observation of nature. If with your aql you can abstract some general patterns and verify them rationally, then that's fine. This is why Ayat Misbah focused on aqli, not natural that much. Although many times when they say natural, they may say also aqli. Like for example in natural theology. When they say natural theology, it's what we say kalam ma'qul, is intellectual theology when they say natural theology. So I wanted to share with you these points also about natural rights, and inshallah we continue this discussion to see what we can think about natural rights of all human beings, which are supported by revelation and intellect, and in harmony with nature. Not that we are taught by nature necessarily, we are taught by revelation and reason, but in harmony with nature. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Do you have any questions? Any questions? No question?
Okay. No one has any question. Thank you for your explanation. That was excellent. Yeah.
And did you see I put a brief summary of Ayatollah Misbah's Ma'arif al-Qur'an in English
Yes.
earlier?
Islam.com.
Yes.
Islam.org, yeah.
Yes. And also, inshallah, I will try to find my paper and share with you in the group about natural law and similar theories about morality. I hope inshallah I remember and put it in the group.
Excuse me.
بفهم.
You mentioned that there is a natural right and aql realized that this was okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Aql realized.
Yes.
And, you mentioned that we can't understand anything by our aql, and as a result, this natural law is incorrect or wrong. Okay.
No, I said we cannot understand everything by reflection on nature. We can use revelation and aql when aql has judgment. Even aql doesn't have judgment about everything. Yeah, we said there are two types. One understandable by aql, like marriage, like right for food, for drink, for shelter, for clothing. These are rights which we understand by aql. But there are extra rights that we need to understand from revelation. Then we can be inspired by nature. We can look at the creation and understand certain things, but not by bypassing aql or revelation. We cannot bypass aql and revelation and say this is a new source. Nature is a source. Nature is not by itself a source.
Okay. Can we say that for example, we have a principle in usul, كلما حكم به العقل حكم به الشرع,
Yeah.
and vice versa. Okay.
Yes.
So, can we say that for example, اراده تشریعی correspond اراده تکوینی and natural rights, because our aql understand natural rights, and on the other side our revelation or our prophet say that for example do salat, do roze, and this is irade tashri', and with this principle
no, irade tashri'i. How do you understand irade? The question is how you understand irade tashri'i.
with revelation.
Okay.
And
Aql. Yeah. Okay, so I said the same thing. Aql and revelation. These are the two hujjah that we have. Hujjatan zahira wa hujjatan batina.
Okay, but I think you reject the irade takvini.
No, I don't reject irade takwini. I say irade takwini is not a source. You need something to understand what Allah had willed. Yeah?
Okay.
I put here the link for my paper. I don't know if it came. Human nature and nature of morality. Did it come?
Yes.
Okay. التماس دعا في امان الله. خدا حافظ. خدا نگهدار.